ಕಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ದೇವನ ಕಲೆಯಲ್ದೇ ನೀ ತಿಳಿ ಅದರಿಂದ ನೀ ಕಲಿ.
Radio has changed the lives of generation by bringing the world to their doorstep. Radio has informed listeners regardless of age, gender, or class, bringing communities together. Radio is one of the marvels of human invention. Radio at times is your companion, always prepared to share music with you or give you the latest headlines. Museums are a great source of knowledge. Museums have the mission to serve society through the preservation of cultural and natural heritage, and they are institutions of non-formal education. Bangalore, known as the knowledge capital of India, now has a shortwave radio museum displaying an array of antique radio sets which were once a popular medium of information and entertainment. When you step into this museum, you travel back in time.
Shortwave Radio Museum is the museum name. So I thought it is a tribute to the radio world. But in India, we don't have any radio museum except this one. People have radio collections, but this radio is technically recognized by radiomuseum.org forum, which means that I just not only display the radio, but I know the history of the radio, I know the technology behind it, and I know how it works.
Radio Museum has a prize-worthy collection of 150 functional radios, including some classic, vintage, and rare pieces dating back to over a century. Radio Museum contribute to the development of society from several angles. This museum serves as a basis for creating new knowledge, act as the generator of new ideas.
See, people can learn about the vintage electronics, what used to go into these particular sets, and the various intricacies involved, and because these sets used to involve a high voltage, so how you should work, taking all kind of precautions. The vintage electronics, I think the people should, present day people, they should have a look at this, how it used to do it, how it used to work, and how it was being designed, and what complications were there. I think it will be better interest for them.
This museum has mostly shortwave radios which consist of valves instead of transistor. Now what is a valve, if you ask? This here is a valve. The radio was especially made for people who have zero knowledge about radio. It nearly takes 3 minutes for the filament to light up, and only then the sound is emitted. Since the valve radio takes so much energy, the size of these radios is huge. Nobody uses valve radio anymore, but whenever someone approaches with valve radio, it gets restored and not repaired. What is restoration? Antique radios are too valuable to be junked or to just sit and collect dust. They are treasured pieces that link us to the past and rekindle the memories of times gone by.
So this is the restoration process. Basically, open up everything and then look at the schematic and start restoring it. Before that, you had to understand that this is a high voltage electrical equipment, because we take 230 volts in and then we produce 345 volts DC. So there is a chance of getting shock. So you have to be very careful. And the entire design is based on the basic principles of electricity. Okay, They use Ohm's law, they use inductance, resistance, capacitance, voltage, current, diodes, triodes. So this entire design, which is vintage design or vintage technology, is based on the theoretical things. This is pure electrical theory. Okay, so when I start restoration, normally I go step by step, voltage, then the current, what is the transformer, what they have used, what kind of walls they have used, and then replace whichever is required, and then step by step, if the schematic is given the voltages, I measure them, try to bring back to the correct voltage. So this is how the process goes on. So basically the electrical and electronics engineers had to study the schematic and then get into the design aspects of it, and then try to learn. Unfortunately, the technology has moved so fast that people are just shifting to the software, so they don't want to touch these old chunks. But these are real beauties. These are the real theoretically designed equipments. This is the classic example of a radio restoration. So when I got it, it was in bad shape. It was all broken. So we first restored the cabinet, bakelite cabinet. Then we got the cloth from Holland. Then we got the dial made here, which is uh, as accurate as possible. We made almost 60 samples of the dial, and then we got the dome and a needle from London, and knobs from Australia, and the walls from various places. And this works beautifully. In my museum, there is one unique piece which is related to our history, independence struggle. This is a medium wave radio plus transmitter. It's part of it actually. This was used in 1942 when Mahatma Gandhi asked for a Quit India movement. And this secret radio, which we call it as, I mean, they called it a secret Congress radio, was operated by a lady called Usha Mehta. The Nehru and Gandhi's speech and certain speeches which are against British. So this radio is very unique. This is a 1940, 41 British make spy radio actually. The British were, they were flabbergasted because they wanted to find out where exactly the broadcasting happening. This radio broadcasting is happening somewhere in Bombay. And this lady used to say that, this is a Congress radio calling on 42.34 meters from somewhere in India. So it was for British, it is since it is against the British rule, they wanted to find out, capture it, but they never able to succeed.
In recent years, new technologies like internet radio and radio garden have increased the accessibility of radio communication. Internet radio is simply the streaming of audio programs through the medium of the internet, and anyone who has access to a computer can create podcasts to distribute around the world. While Radio Garden invites you to tune into thousands of live radio stations across the globe. These new technologies promise to make radio an enduring, innovative form of media. By bringing distant voices close, radio connects people and places.
But with the evident of internet, the people, the developers were able to push the voice through internet, and that is how the internet radio started emerging. With the discovery of smartphones and platforms like Android and Apple, people were able to develop their own apps which can link to their broadcasting stations. Uh, Here, the major point is that you don't need a huge antenna and huge power to broadcast. You just need a laptop and a RSVP protocol and an internet connection, which can take you to all over the world actually. Internet radio changed people's life, and as the statistics says, there are more than 38,000 internet radio stations working. Anybody can start a internet radio station. There is one specific app called Radio Garden, which is particularly very beautiful. It goes along, as a globe, and you rotate the globe, and you can pinpoint a particular country and particular place and see which radio station they are streaming. This internet radio is called as a streaming radio station. So you can stream anything that is available there, and then you can get used to you can listen to the radio. So the internet that way is very powerful.
ಈ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ವೇವ್ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಯಂ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಬಂದೆ. ನಾವು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಅಷ್ಟು ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ನೋಡಿದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನನ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ರೋಮಾಂಚನ ಆಯ್ತು. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಬೆರಳೆಣಿಕೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ರೇಡಿಯೋಗಳನ್ನ ನೋಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ, 4, 5, 6. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು ಎಷ್ಟು ಹಿಂದಿನ ಕಾಲದ ಎಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷ ಹಳೇದು ರೇಡಿಯೋಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು. ಟ್ರಾವನ್ಕೂರ್ ಮಹಾರಾಜರು ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಯಂಗೆ ರೇಡಿಯೋನ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಇನ್ನ ಹೊಸ ರೇಡಿಯೋ, ಹೊಸ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಳೇದು, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೊಸ, ಅದು ಕ್ರಿಸ್ಟಲ್ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಅಂತ. ಯಾವುದೇ ಇಂಧನ ಸಹಾಯ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ವಿದ್ಯುತ್ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಅಥವಾ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಸಹಾಯ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದು ಹಾಗೆ ನಾವು ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. ಅದು ಬಹಳ ನನ್ಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟವಾಗಿದ್ದು. ಆ ಕ್ರಿಸ್ಟಲ್ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಬಹಳ ಪುಟ್ಟ ರೇಡಿಯೋ, ಬಹಳ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯ್ತು. ಎಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಇದಾವೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಇದೆ ನಾವು ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡಿ. ನಾವು ಹಬ್ಬ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಈ ಸೈಜು ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಅಗಲದ್ದು ಅಷ್ಟು ನೋಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ನೀವು ಟಿವಿಗಿಂತ ಈಗೇನು LED ಟಿವಿ, LCD ಟಿವಿ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡ ರೇಡಿಯೋಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ದು. ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳ ಇದೆ. ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಆಸಕ್ತರಿಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಬೇಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ರೇಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ನಾನು ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಬೆಳಿಗ್ಗೆ 6:30 8 ಗಂಟೆವರೆಗೂ ರೇಡಿಯೋ ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ನನ್ಗೆ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಬಹಳ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಯ್ತು. ಯಾರೂನು ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಈ ತರ ವಸ್ತು ಸಂಗ್ರಹಾಲಯದ ತರ ಇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಯಾರೂ ಇಲ್ಲ.
Radio can evolve with technology, and that is why it is still prevalent in the 21st century. It brings us comfort and familiarity with its broadcasting songs, news, and stories. Advances in technology may have led to the emergence of a broad range of media outlets and platforms. But it has also made the radio more accessible for population that lack access to other means of information technology, which is why it is still very much relevant today. With the only radio museum in India, experience the world as it was used to be.